All right. So I'm about to ask you some questions about your book. Yeah, the first question, what made you write a book?
What made me write a book was something that inspired me was really just a setback. Looking back over the last couple years, I realized that sometimes a setback is set up for you. I was trying to break into voiceover again. I had done some voiceovers before in the past and I had a little success with it, and I was okay with that. But this time around, I saw it as an advantage. I went before myself to ask, what is my purpose here in life? What am I here for? And once I asked myself that question, it was just like the answers wouldn't stop. It was like something that I had been suppressing or putting off for so long. And so I'll never forget this. I was going to doing some auditions for some voiceovers. And when I would submit, I would immediately get a decline saying that I was not picked, someone else was selected. And so I did that for about maybe 6 months or so. And during that time, I realized that, okay, why am I offering to read someone else's book? Why not write my own book and then record it as a voiceover? And I was like, oh, what a great idea. So I went on this long journey of writing a book. For me, it was pretty simple with just setting out what I was looking for and really just going within myself and just asking, what is this world missing right now? And I felt like the world was missing authenticity. I felt like the world was missing understanding that being kind, being authentic is okay. And so I was like, I'm going to write a book about how I became this person that wasn't just inspired by authenticity and what the world was missing, positivity.
Second question, what inspired you to uh write this book and what continues to inspire you today?
What inspired me was really just setback after setback. You ever think about as why you are the way you are today? And I had to ask myself, I did not always try to predict defeat, but for as far as I could remember, I always felt like I was overlooked. Meaning I always never felt good enough for anybody. So I always told myself, I don't need anyone else. I just do it myself. And so what really inspired me was just basically telling myself I don't need anyone to approve me to read their book when I could just write my own and then record it. And so I had to just go within myself and be okay with doing that. And honestly, not caring what nobody thought about it. Because when we think about our lives, our purpose is here to serve each other. We're all here to be a service of each other. It doesn't matter if it's online, in person, if it's mentally, physically, emotionally. We're all here to serve each other. That's our all divine purpose. And so I knew my purpose was not to just work a job. You know, Honestly, I don't like working for anyone. I don't like working at all. And so, as cliche as that of me to say, I feel as though I'd rather live my days as I wish and do the things that I feel like I'm called to do, which is help serve others, inspire others to become their true authentic self. And so that's really what inspired me. I really wanted just to pursue a goal that I really could embark on that I felt that was fun for me because I felt like reading, writing, and inspiring others is fun to me. I want to make life look effortless. I don't want to make life look so harsh and difficult and stuff too. And help people understand that you can choose the life you want to live. You just have to be okay with seeing within yourself like what you truly desire without comparing it to anybody else. Because a lot of times we can go through life and always compare our lives to other people because of the things they have or the things they may accomplish. But in reality, that's all surface level. We don't know what they did to get to where they are. And so I understood that when I began to embark on this path, I know that people needed a different perspective on life. somebody that already went there before and understand it.
So let's talk about the journey of writing your book. Once I realized this, my life changed. What was the most challenging part, and what was the most rewarding part?
Let's see, I'll go with the negative first. The most challenging part was really just being consistent with it, believing without a sign, I would say, because I didn't see this as being a success, or I didn't see like me even getting one book being published. And so my mind was just like, this is all a bunch of garbage. Nobody's going to read this. But on the other side, I had people actually reposting it, actually buying it without my knowledge. Having a picture of it online from someone else was kind of like, oh, okay, you kind of did take the path and pursue what you said you was going to do. The most rewarding part was just really actually inspiring one person, more than one person, actually getting someone to actually read it. Like I didn't know there was actual readers out there. For me, I just see myself as a nerd, that likes to read. I want to be a buff nerd. And so for me, this is like my little pastime. It's like my hobby. But it was rewarding that people are actually inspired by it. I think about how a good majority of the Instagram accounts are just photos. And I'm not going to say like stale photos, but they're just photos, right? And so for me, I wanted to bring light to social media where people can just post videos of themselves talking. I wanted to fill the gap where people felt like they did not like themselves enough to post their true authentic selves on social media. It's like showing people to take the mask off. Really just saying, okay, if he can be himself and he looked like that, I can do the same thing too. And so that was really something that I was really inspired by. I want people to say, okay, yeah, I was once a stale photo on social media, but I'm talking now. This is how I did it. I just learned to love and like myself while I was in the process of changing. And this is who I am today. You have to grow into liking yourself no matter what you might tell yourself that might be self-sabotaging. Like I remember before, one thing I noticed that I would say, I didn't like my voice. But my voice was actually my strong point. It was my vulnerability, my way of persuading people about kindness and loving them themselves and stuff too. So I was like, okay, well, maybe if I say the right things, my voice will sound more appealing. And so that's what I really learned to do, really just be myself, just to open up the doors for everyone else to be like, oh, I can be myself too. Like bump what everyone else might think.
If there's one central message, one single idea that you want every reader to walk away with after they finish your book, what would that be?
One thing I want someone to walk away from my book is just peace of mind that I can live my life as true as I am without caring what other people might be doing and being inspired to grow into a better version of myself. That's what I want people to take away from my book. I want people to be able just to grow into who they truly are and being okay with change. You can change at any moment and be who you really want, who you truly are, without any mask. And so that's what I was, noticed for myself. Like I felt as for a long amount of time I wore a mask, and that mask only felt like it was just holding me back. It was just hindering me. And it was all in my head about how I felt other people saw me. But on the flip side of that, it was more so of, well, nobody's gonna notice you anyways. Just do it. Like nobody cares what you're doing. And I get that. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'll take that for what it is and just do what I can in the meantime while trying to inspire someone else.
So for listeners who might be feeling stuck or overwhelmed right now, I guess what's one immediate small step that they can take today, inspired by a principle from your book, to begin their own journey of change?
One thing I would say is understand who you are. Why are you here? Ask yourself questions that you haven't asked yourself before. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Who am I? What do I need to do in order to grow into this version of myself that I don't really know yet, but I know that it's calling me on a day-to-day basis. Be okay with not caring what others might think. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of this world, we're so anxious when we're out in public. We're so paranoid about what others might be thinking of us. We pull our shirts down, we look down, we try to look busy on our phones just to try to avoid others interactions because we're so anxious and just like so scared of what others might think. And so reality, we just need to like just be ourselves. People can feel your energy. It's not about looks. It's never been about looks. It's about how others feel around you. That's what's most important. And so you need to feel confident in your own skin, who you truly are. Once you start to feel confident in yourself, people will learn to love and accept you for who you are.
Version you get. So how do you plan to translate these written principles into actionable guidance for your clients as a life coach and personal trainer?
That's a good question. I thought about my next goal was to make a course. And so with that course, I wanted to make like an app where throughout the day, it's guiding you on things that you could be working on. So instead of, the average person just sitting on their phone for 5, 6 hours a day, just sitting at home, calling it relaxing, watching TV, not really focused on anything that has to do with personal growth or self-development. So creating an app that allows people to be like, yes, I can use my phone, but I'm using my phone to be more productive. Because a lot of times when we look at this phone, ain't no money being floated on this phone. We not all, how you say it, what's people call, stock people that do the stocks, stock people, stock exchange, stockbrokers. Like stockbrokers look at their phone all the time to look, they're trying to make money and stuff, not everybody's entrepreneur, obviously. And so if you're on your phone, you can be using your phone to navigate you to make better choices. It's kind of like use your phone to inspire you to grow, not to intensify your insecurities. And so the app will just basically get you in tune with your daily habits, get you in tune with your spirituality, understand that you can't go through your whole entire life thinking negative thoughts and expect to go to a more positive place. Understanding like where you're going in life, understanding you're trying to find your purpose, asking yourself questions that you haven't asked yourself before. And so it'll be like a list of like affirmations, questions, and inspiring quotes that will help people to transpire, to grow into the best version of themselves.
The why behind the how. What specifically drew you to life coaching and personal training after writing your book? Was it a natural evolution or was it like a distinct calling?
I would say it was a natural evolution, but also it was more of a distinctive calming because on one side of it, I felt as though having a fit body was a spiritual thing. It was kind of like I was honoring my body. I wanted to have a better physique. I wanted to feel confident in myself. And so this is what confident looks like on me. This is the energy I wanted to give for confidence. And so, feeling confident was just like going to the gym, working out, and feeling good about myself. And so I wanted others, because I saw that was something that, the world was missing, especially in the gym world, that people didn't feel confident in themselves because they were so constantly comparing themselves to everybody else. And so when you think about it, just going to the gym is not just to look at other people, it's to get in the best shape of your life, become the best version of yourself. And on the life coaching side, it was more so my mom is a therapist. And so I understood where she helped people with like their trauma and stuff and always still remain positive, like always had a good mindset, which is so remarkable to me. She always showed such strong willpower to control her mind and her thinking. And I think that's just so admirable about my mom. And so I was like, I want to be a life coach because I want to do what mom does, but just not all the unnecessary, well, the things that I feel are unnecessary or the things that I feel are in the past. It's kind of like you're over the past, but you're trying to become this best version of yourself. But these few things are blocking you.
You're building like a platform as an author, life coach, personal trainer, as an entrepreneur. How do you see all these different elements synergizing and supporting one another in your overall mission?
It's life. It's really just life. Making everyone's life better, one person at a time. I know a lot of times, I don't know, for me, a lot of times I kind of avoided spirituality because I didn't understand it and I was really ignorant towards it because I was so caught up into the world and what everybody else was doing. But then I realized that we're all mirrors. And so I wanted to mirror back to other people a better outlook on life for them based off of how I looked. And I feel like my looks are very distinctive. I look intimidating, but I'm very kind. And so I want people to be okay with not judging a book by its cover, especially for them too. I don't want to have to walk out and not be my true self because I feared what others thought of me. I wanted others to feel calm around me, feel happy, feel peace when they're around me. Even if they're around me for a split second, they can relax, put their shoulders down, lift their heads up, and feel good about themselves. And so I wanted to create a atmosphere, aura, where people felt a light to their darkness, even just by being around me or just looking at me.
I think when you're done with something, I think you should like give me a signal like a whiteboard. With so like let's say how do you stay grounded? With so many exciting ventures ahead. What practices or principles do you rely on to stay grounded, maintain your own well-being, and then continue growing personally?
Wow, that's a good question. I feel to be grounded, you really have to be okay with the time you spend alone. That's where I got most of my answers that I was seeking. And so when I spend my time alone, I do a lot of shadow work. A shadow work meaning there's times where I'll sit for like an hour or two or 30 minutes at a time throughout the day and just not do anything, not talking to anyone, or I'll talk to myself, but I'll try to just to be quiet and just let whatever I had already consumed just flow through me. It's kind of just letting the emotions just pass. Because a lot of times when you avoid that shadow work, where you're trying to like feel as though you don't have control over your mind and your thoughts and stuff, instead of just letting the thoughts just pass, they build up. They build up. And so being grounded, just being okay being alone. I had to learn how to go outside without my phone. I had to be okay with going to the gym without headphones and really just focusing on just trying to balance myself out. I wanted to feel as though I don't have too much of anything. I have just the amount I need to survive, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, nutritionally, in my nutrition, with my food wise. That's a good one. Learning how to navigate with not overeating, because there's times I want to overeat, but I have to realize when I'm self-aware that I need to just drink some water sometimes. I really need to drink some water. And I don't have to always fill my belly with food because I'm not always hungry. I just need some water, or I just need some more fiber. And I don't always need sweets to get through my evening. I can have some fruit. I have this 70-30 rule. I'll eat 70% healthy throughout the day and I'll eat 30% of whatever I want. And that kind of helps me stay balanced. Making sure I take vitamins so I can get rid of brain fog. I tell people all the time, like, if you want to smoke weed, you can, but make sure you're taking the right supplements to help you ease off of it. Like, weed should not be your go-to every day. It's supposed to be recreational. It's supposed to be something that you do out of celebration, for fun, for inspiration, not just because you got to be high. You got to get that feeling. Because truth be told, when you're high, you're just stoned. You're not doing anything. You're just in the couch. And so you're in your conscious state of mind. You're off somewhere else. And yeah, drinking too. Drink, but drink to the occasion that you're celebrating something. You're not just drinking because you love the feeling of being drunk. It's tearing up your body. When you drink, you need to make sure you drink water before and drink water afterwards. If you want to get your stomach right, your body's heart, you need to make sure that you have something that is anti-inflammatory, that'll hydrate you. Anti-inflammatory is like a ginger shot or turmeric shot. Don't just let it just sit there and be like, oh, I'm so hungover. Do it, but make sure you take care of yourself. And if you want to get off of, if you want to stop, the substance abuse, be okay just saying it. Like, I want to reduce my substance abuse. I want to reduce my alcohol intake. I want to reduce my smoking. I didn't smoke for like 2 months, 2.5 months. And when I started smoking again, I was like, ew. Like, I do not want to be high all day. But I felt like it was so good not to be high because I learned to go back to my life before I started smoking versus using it as a coping mechanism where I had to be high to get through the day or get through the night or be at work and be high and stuff. Yeah, with shadow work, it started off really with just meditating first. I remember about 5 years ago, I started meditating and it was hard, but it was only hard because I was saying it was hard. But I learned how to create better micro habits. And so I would say, okay, I'll just start with a minute today. I'll just do a minute every day. And if I do 3 minutes, that's great. But at least try to do that. But I had this fear of being in silence, so I would always have like a mantra going. But it was actually a good thing because it really helped me put like good thoughts in my head. Like, I am amazing. I love myself. I look in the mirror and tell myself, I love you. I say, thank you. I love you. And I'm grateful for you. And so when I will listen to those things, those thoughts, those mantras will come back to my head when I'm having like negative thoughts or I'm having like a tough time with resurfacing myself to become back more balanced. And so when I learned to do that, it became easier for me the more I tried to do it. Did the negative thoughts stop? No, but I learned to be able to take my thoughts and go do something that is more productive, like go read a book, go for a walk, listen to something that inspired me instead of listening to, what everybody else was listening to. And so when I learned to do that, it became easier. Now I feel like my brain is stronger. I don't always need to listen to something. And I understand the dynamics of shadow work, which is really just sitting in silence and just letting the emotions just pass, positive or negative, because we're not going to always have positive experiences all day, but at least be intentional about it. But also just allow yourself to just sit in silence and just allow your brain just to rest, Like, that's why people go to like the lake and just look at the water, If you're at home, I don't really suggest it. If you're starting to do it, go somewhere outside, get some vitamin D and do some shadow work. But for me, it really does help me with mental clarity. My mind is not so cluttered.
Beyond these incredible goals, what's one big picture dream or project that's still on your horizon? Something that you're really excited to explore later down the road.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was thinking lately, I was like, I don't have any long-term goals. And I feel like I have long-term goals. It's just that I have accomplished them already. And so one of the things I really wanted to do was build up not my fan base, but like have enough inspired individuals where I can say that I'm able to host a TV show where it's like a couch set where we just talk about life in a nutshell, like everything from the color of your skin to your sexuality, to your relationships, to your habits, to your addictions, to what inspires you, to gratitude, to spirituality. I want to talk about all that stuff. And it was my way of bringing these reality TV shows back into the new. Like Ricky Lake, like Oprah from the 80s and 90s. I'm inspired by that kind of stuff. I want to be on TV, those individuals and just inspired people that are in the community and allowing people to go back on TV and actually being okay with how they look and not caring, like helping people build their confidence again, restoring faith back in humanity will be so hot. Thank you. I've had a great time. Really appreciative.